Don't be afraid. Hold on. You'll find your way.
Welcome to Growth Made Groovy, where we talk about everything from healing medicine music, working through life challenges,
and developing awareness and connections as we heal and grow along our journey.
Hey everyone, I'm Caroline.
And I'm Noel.
And we want to welcome you to Growth Made Groovy.
And we're glad you're here for the third episode of our podcast, which now can be seen and heard in the Facebook group. If you're hearing it, you're in the group. Growth Made Groovy, raise your vibe.
And today, this is going to be an interesting one because what we're doing is we're kind of going through we always talk about this. We go through, or I do at least, we go through our journeys individually and together. And so each song that we wrote, that's kind of what we're doing here. So this song that we're going to talk about today is called Life of Love. And I'm going to tell you right now, just sit back and enjoy.
Yeah, it's the second song we wrote. So a couple of things to note. Our video and editing and all that was just literally coming up to snuff, and our musicianship. So the sound's a little rough, but and
we were just getting to each other at that point. That was the whole point of the song too. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna share the screen on this, and okay, enjoy Life of Love. Hey.
Yes. That, okay, I have to say something. I have to. You said it was raw. That was so raw. I mean, that was like the second song for me. That was the second song that I've ever been with them. Sung in front of anybody, which wasn't really in front of anybody, but it was enough. And I'm using a microphone, which I think I have, but wasn't sure. Don't know. And I think somewhere around that time was when either I started to learn how to mimic you or you recognized that I was mimicking you, because I kept looking at you to see what your voice was going to do. And because I was like, I'm totally clueless here. I don't know what direction you're going to go in. I have no idea what's happening. So that's the technical aspect of the song.
Yeah, but I mean, it was fun. We were having fun. Yeah, you were definitely just new at getting started. But yeah, you were an excellent mimicker, and you were mimicking quite well.
Yes, yeah.
But it sounds good. Listen, I mean, when we were harmonizing without harmonizing, because that's what we used to do. You would just get on the same frequency.
Yeah.
But it sounds good. I like, and it's got that vibe, that feel. It was a fun song to do.
Yeah. And like at that point, I was so freaking scared, and I felt like I had no clue what I was doing, that I was just sitting there. That's how I learn, I think, is by mimicking somebody else. And then once I get what they do, and then I can shift it and make it for me. But I'm like watching this, and I look scared. I look nervous.
No, you were.
And I'm like,
Trust
oh my
me.
God. Yeah.
But that's why I'm glad we got the little bit of laughter, because that was probably take 10 or whatever. I mean, it took, we had to keep doing takes, and because it was always a one take. That was the other thing on these videos. Yeah. It's always a one take. It's not like cut and let's start from this point. So you have to go start to finish. Yeah. And so that's also exhausting for a 4.5 minute song, whatever it is. But but
we
10 times.
I just remember it wasn't really exhausting until we were done.
Oh yeah, until we were done. Yeah. No, it wasn't.
Late at night, and we still had all this energy, and I'm like, where the heck did that come from? I literally, until I got after we were done, and we did our waving goodbyes with each other in the car. You went your way, I went my way, and I get home, and I was like, wow. And then I sat there. All I did was get ready for bed, and finally, when I sat down, I still had energy, but then I started to relax, but so much. And this was after a day of working at a sucky job. So just think.
That's right. Yeah, because we wouldn't get started. That probably was done around 10 o'clock at night, 9:30, whatever. Yeah. After a full day's work. So
So that's what was so cool about all that. But so start your part.
So right, Life of Love. So this was the entering into, so our first song, Long and Lonely Road, of just kind of coming into who we are, discovering who we are and where we are in our journey, and then connecting with each other along the journey through the soul connection. And so the second song, Life of Love, is, the natural kind of order of events, that happens along the journey. You either experience it and express it, or you repress it, you know what I mean? And don't experience, or deny it and repress it. So, this is, so the first lines of, was mostly for me getting around enough to notice just about 1,000 times a day. So all day, it was coming up for me. The weighing down heavy thoughts that always keep me feeling tired while I'm wide awake. This has been my experience, before I was, caught in not doing what I love to do. I was just caught in it, and, feeling tired while I'm wide awake. And so, and then coming together, but it's also coming within oneness with the brilliance of our knowing. It's been a long time since we were one, capital O, to fill the empty void with all we've understood. That's bringing us back to a life of love. The empty void is the opportunity, to fill it in with all we've understood, with all we know, to bring us back, to a life of love.
Yeah, when you talk about that, though, it's interesting, and I know we all do this. I'm gonna venture to bet that all of us do it, not most of us, but at least unless we're healed or we're like avatars or something, we don't. But your first, what I got from the first verse was the heavy thought, like all these thoughts. They just monkey mind is the first thing that comes into my head. It's like constant. Oh, you're terrible. Oh, this is terrible. Oh, what I got to do about this? I get it, and it's constant. And I can honestly say, watching you and myself throughout this journey, that has way come down. It's like we instead of getting stuck, you call it a loop.
Yes.
You call it a loop.
Yeah, getting
I've
caught in
heard
the
you
same
say
loop
that.
over and over again.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're not in that loop anymore, and it started before we came into this part of our journey together to do this podcast. But it was just interesting to watch how that settles down. And you are not, like, physically, mentally, emotionally, you and I are not the same people who were in that video.
That's
because
true.
I'm looking in there, and I said this to you before we got on there. I'm like, that's a damn hippie. But I'm looking at both of us. I think we're both hippies in there.
Yeah.
And I don't really see that. It's like this lost thinking, constantly thinking hippie, and nothing bad about hippies, because I technically, underneath it all, we kind of are.
Yeah,
but,
that's right.
yeah,
And
but
that's the groovy. But I hear you. What you're saying it was more of it wasn't really an owning of it. It was more of a trying it to come out, and so it was coming out way it looked, way it felt, way me and you both. So
yeah,
but it is interesting to see that, and that feels like ancient. It's only 2 years ago, but again, with modern times, 2 years is a long time ago. Like 20 years is ancient, but yet it's not that long ago. You know what I mean? It's weird how time goes.
not that long ago.
Oh, that comes up later.
That comes up soon too.
One of our songs.
That's cool. Yeah, and then I just wanted to say, like, listening to you talk about the second, that filling in the empty void with all we've understood, bringing us back. The second. Wait, that's the chorus.
That's the chorus, but then you came in the second verse.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll talk about mine, and then I'll talk about the chorus again. So with mine, when I met you, we came together. It was like, I'm sure we talked about this. It was totally not anything to do with music. And I was anxious and isolated and wanting to get my business started and all these things. And when I found Noel, it came through someone who he knew. And again, it started out with renting his space to do a writing support group, because I'm a writer and I love helping people. And so I was like in the space of wanting to help other people, but I wasn't able to get out of the space of helping into the space of helping myself first. So these feelings inside of me were like so jumbled up, and fear and isolation and all this stuff was there. And I love meeting people, so that wasn't an issue. So when we met, that was really awesome, and I wasn't in that space. But what it did for me, when I said the feelings that lead me on my journey, dropping me down into the void, every single time throughout my life that I've been on this healing journey, there's been an opportunity where I just dropped down into the space of the unknown. And I've always been afraid of the unknown. And, but I don't call it the unknown because I've always been afraid of it. So I call it a void. So that was why I use that word, because it's just a space of being able to disconnect with the old self, and then integrate with who I truly am, and then reconnecting eventually when that's time with who I really am, in recognition of who I really am. I hope that makes sense, because it's like I don't know who I am. I'm angry at who I am. I don't think I'm good enough. I get in this void. I'm like, what the heck is happening now? I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. And moving into a space of, well, I do know who I am, and this is a different person, and I appreciate this person, and I love this person. And so that was the kind of the progression. But it happened then, and it's happening right now. So it's interesting in this cycle how this works. And then the second piece of it was touching a piece of heaven here on earth with the courage to bring in joy. We can have heaven on earth, and a lot of people aren't taught that. We have this thing, whatever it is inside of us. Some people call it a demon. Some people call it whatever. It destroys our life. It's terrible. It's this, it's that. Yeah, it feels like that. It feels like crap. But when we walk through all that pain and release it, then it feels different. It feels expansive. It feels like heaven. I mean, like I'm going through something right now that's so big and so expansive that I don't even touch that stuff that demon anymore. You know, it's like, ooh, and it's very peaceful and it's bringing joy into my life. Taking a walk around the lake 2 times, you know, right down the street from where I'm living right now. That's joyful, watching the birds and stuff. So bringing that joy into our lives, or let me allowing that joy to come back into our lives from a state of peace is different than forcing something to happen to create joy. It's like joy is something that just is, just like love, you know. So I guess that connects back to the name. And then as far as the chorus, we know, deep down inside, we're knowing beings. We have intuition. Sometimes we don't know that we know, but we do. And so we know. That's why that's why I believe that we said brilliance, because our knowing is more brilliant than our intellectual knowledge. And the long time since we were one, in my world right now, the way I see that is we've been separated from the oneness of the universe. It's not like we still are, but we don't know that we are.
Well, and that's what the bridge talks about, literally. What happens to us beyond time, forgetting who we are, because we forget who we really are. We come into the world as love, and we're here to live in love. It's very simple.
Yeah, and that's also filling that empty void in the chorus that talks about like that void I'm talking about. That love fills that in. The self-love fills that in, and that moves us into the bridge, which you just brought up, because we all forget who we are.
Exactly. So it's part of the separation, you know, being separate from the one.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's, you know, good little kind of a rock and roll song that's about, you know, loving self and then expressing it outwards, loving self, loving source that's in self, that is self, and then expressing it outward. And, simple to say, not as easy to do. It's simple, but not easy, because not just expressing it outwards, because that comes with all the challenges of feeling judged or being rejected or whatever the case may be, but just owning it inwards is the real challenge, because that comes to the worthiness. And if we don't feel worthy, if we believe the lie that we're not worthy, and I'll say that again, if we believe the lie that we're not worthy, because it's not a known is we are worthy. That's the knowing. But if we believe on the external made internal that we're not, then we won't even allow it in to bring it out, to outwards express the love. So that's really the life of love, is truly connecting with who we really are in source and love, and then expressing it outward.
Yeah, that's so powerful, especially because you and I got the opportunity to live through that, literally. I mean, we were learning about ourselves and each other the whole time, always, you know, even through the rough spots. And put 2 musicians together equals you're going to get rough spots. So creatives, let's say creatives.
Yes.
Creatives. Right. So there are always going to be rough spots, and just walking through that, learning about myself. I think I learned more about myself being with you in your existence and our existence together than in 2 years. Like you were saying, it's a lot. That's a lifetime in this situation, because so many things happened, you know. And it was like bringing it back. The life of love to me is me, and being able to recognize that, the self-love that I've gotten to. So that's how I see this.
Yes. And then that's where the ending, the outro, bringing us back bringing us back to the life of love, because it's going back within. Exactly. And, and I'd say that's probably one of the least songs we played out. I mean, we rarely played it out. I
I
remember
don't think
one time,
did
well,
we?
we might have in the beginning once or twice. I mean, we did play a lot of open mics and
We didn't have a huge
showcases,
repertoire.
but we did play it. I remember the one time we played it and it got the best response was in the recovery center when we were doing the music therapy, and we pulled that song out. It hadn't played it in a while. I mean, at that point, hadn't played it in a while. And, you know, we were doing the same loop and the same group of songs, and I wanted to play a different one. And so we pulled it out, and I mean, the groups were addicts, alcoholics in intensive rehabilitation. And a lot of them were in their 20s, younger, and they were either in their 20s or in their like 40s, 50s, 60s. But they all just were like rocking and rolling and just loved it. I think it was one of our greatest feedback of reception that we got on that. So it was interesting. It was one time we played it, you know, and got that from the people that were most open, because a lot of times they weren't open, you know, they were hurting, and we would bring it open eventually within the hour. But that song, that one time, I still remember, really opened them up.
Yeah. And I think that because, and I know I remember when something feels like it does that, you extend the song, and I never know. And I remember that. I just remember you because you use your guitar as a percussion instrument as well as a guitar. So, and I always thought that was really cool. Aside from the fact that it's already, like when we first met, this song and most of the ones up until recently were set at 432 hertz.
That's right. All
and so we've got that happening which from his end. I don't know. That was totally awesome, because he had already known about setting it, but he didn't know why he did it. And then I had already known about the way hertz work and how it heals the body within down to your cells. And I didn't know enough about how it worked with music. So, and lowering the, I don't know what the technical words are, but.
Well, it's just the vibration. Again, we're going back to the vibration, the frequency of the sound waves. And the normal tuning is 440, and I set it at 432. And we had an instant connection at that for the reasons you just stated.
Yes. It was so powerful though, because maybe it was the music itself that got into us and helped us to come on, you can do it. Yeah. And like I said, there were times that were like totally not fun. However, they were growth. This was probably the biggest growth partnership I've ever had with anybody ever. That was for me. I mean, we all look for safety in being with somebody, and that's what it felt like to me. Even in the rough spots, it was still safe. And I'll be the first. I want to be vulnerable enough to admit that, because it was a safe space for me to do this. You know, even though it sometimes felt like I was going insane and needed to be put in a rubber room, but that's okay.
Yeah. No, but I mean, and I could say the same thing, because it was, I mean, it was just allowing me to be me, you to be you, and exploring the space within, especially in the music. And that's how it really got, the connection really got kind of started and amplified. Because both of us had that desire, need, and the music is a safe place. And especially since the intention of the music is always for healing. That's always been my intention, and that's always been yours too. So, you know, even to this day, you know, I'm coming up with new songs by the week, by the day, and the only intention of them is for healing. So whatever that interprets for the person, the listener, is, you know, to them make them feel groovy. It might make them feel a good song. It might make them feel contemplative, or might make them feel like, you know, out of their mind or whatever, or might just make them feel relaxed, whatever the case may be. Or they, oh, that's a cute little jingle. I don't know, whatever it is, that's the energy of the music. That's, to me, the main and only purpose.
Yeah. We really don't have an expectation on how someone receives it.
No, because that's a different human. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like whenever we play these songs for you, we would love for you to give us some feedback on how you felt about the words, you know, well, you don't talk about the singing. Let's get past that one. But
no, talk about whatever comes up for you.
Talk about it. Yeah.
Talk about whatever comes up for you. That's the whole point. That's the space we want to make here at Growth Made Groovy.
Yep.
and from In Divinity Productions. So yeah, whatever comes up. And probably, and I've had this a lot, this request, I'm sure you've heard it, Caroline, is like, oh, can you give the lyrics? So maybe that's something we can try to like also do the lyric sheet, if that's what I'd like as a request for that, if that sounds good to you. Anybody out there, we can always put the lyrics up as well.
Right.
So, but anyway,
yeah, we can talk about that after.
Yeah, it's all an exploratory process.
Right. Yep.
In our episode 3 of the Growth Made Groovy podcast.
Yes. And we would like to thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts, and hope you have a wonderful day. And I guess that's about it. See you next week.
See you next week. Much love.